Welcome into another Flash Hour. Thank you all for joining. If you're watching the recap, while I have you here and your attention, this very few of you, if you're watching the recap, drop a like, repost this for us, or smash the like button on YouTube and leave a comment. Be greatly appreciated. This week, we'll be getting into a few juicy things around ownership token, as well as some things with Zitadel. A special guest today. Hopefully, we are able to pick his brain with what Citadel is all about, as well as some other goodies we have for you as what we got done this week. How it typically works is we get into State of the Trenches. State of the Trenches moves into State of the Trenches is basically just like what's going on in the Solana ecosystem, broader ecosystem. Also, just anything that we found important last week that we want to bring up. Then we move into an overview. So flash overview, we pick out some key metrics that we think are notable and bring those up. And then we get to Anas's favorite slide, which is what did we get done this week, which is a key metric of his for sure. And then we do what is my favorite, and that's what's coming. So what's coming down the pipeline? That is my favorite. All right, let's get the guys up here. Oi. Hello,
Hi
gentlemen.
guys. Yep. I think there is some issues on X right now. I was not able to get any notification about our live, but yeah, X is having some issues, sadly.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, notifications. I'm going to be honest. I'm kind of happy because my notifications go crazy all day. I mean, I do get to recap everything quickly, but man, I don't really follow that many people, and I still get a ton of notifications. Zahib, how you doing? Zahib, sorry.
Yeah, I'm doing just fine.
Good. All right. Are you ready for State of the Trenches? What is that? Is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. my StreamYard's actually even bugging out. All right. Well, there we go. State of the Trenches. Well, we're there. So Citi executed its first tokenized bill of exchange natively on Solana. That's a pretty big deal. I mean, Citigroup is relatively large. Just a local bank. Solana RWA TVL, new all-time high is 1.66 billion. 285K holders. Solana or Flash Trade actually had some contributions to that, so that's always good to see. RWAs are pushing forward. Goldman Sachs.
I think if we were to check the holders, like in most of the major RWA tokens, Flash's liquidity pool would be one of the most like top ranker in the holding of those RWA assets. And yeah, I think we moved to Flash. Yeah, sorry. Yep.
Yeah, it's bugging out.
No worries. I think that the most interesting thing so far in the past 10 months or so is like there has been more institutional things happening around blockchains than retail.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's this is an institutional game now. Yeah. I mean, look, we all said it for years. I mean, I know I was saying it too. And now that it's here, it's like nobody's even paying attention. Goldman Sachs disclosed 108 million in SOL holdings. Here's the crazy part is that BlackRock fund surpasses 550 million in assets on Solana. That's not SOL, that's assets on Solana. More than likely RWA. But SushiSwap expanded to Solana. Solana is the black hole. Everybody will adopt Solana at some point. Kamino partnered with Anchorage to pilot off-chain custodial collateral. That's super interesting to me, by the way. Dang. Yep. We're getting to the point where we're merging both worlds. That's crazy. 1 year ago, I was thinking like this would never happen, but now it's quite literally here. Why is the market crashing? No, I'm just kidding. Crashing.
I
But
wish
it's always
people
down
knew about
every single time we do Flash Hour. I swear, man. Can one of
it's
these
the
weeks be up?
uh,
Jeez.
it's the US Open overall
Yeah,
where
it's
things
always,
have
man.
been crashing down. But today I think the markets are closed. But
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah. I mean, it's still going down, which is still super frustrating. Come on, man.
Yes.
Give us some hype. Toly joined the CFTC, which is that's actually really interesting. I didn't even really realize he was super involved with government. So apparently he was, because that's the only way you'd really get invited.
Like it's like all the top people in crypto were added into it. So a lot of ETH folks, a lot of Solana folks, a lot of base folks. So yeah.
Cool. Okay. So it's like a full on ecosystem wide crypto-y kind of thing.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Donut, I just wanted to call this out because I thought it was cool. But Donut AI unveils DO, a self-hosted trading agent. It's the first one that I've seen that actually looks like decent. Which I was like, yeah, thought it was interesting enough to mention since we're a trading platform. But have to reach out to those guys. Let's see. Now moving into Flash overview. I wish I could zoom in on that, but the Flash overview is
I think it's best if you open fstats token page.
Yeah, I have it open, funny enough.
Yeah, you can just open that up and we can go to the token page, and then I've just pushed the stakers thing as well, so you can. So overall, even after this big change where everyone now who is staked FAF needs to withdraw, like the withdraw thing goes linearly over 3 months, we didn't see much of a drop. We saw about a 10% drop in staking, but still the number is quite high. It's about 68% of supply is staked into Flash's contracts. And now if you go down, you can also check the unstaking tab, which shows the amount of people who are requesting to unstake and how it is being unstaked for those people.
Oh, that is updated. Yeah, you literally did just update it. I just pulled this up a few minutes ago. Good Lord.
I just posted it before the call.
Oh, I was like, I swear I just pulled this up. Oh, okay, cool. So we have the great part about this new fstats, thanks to
Claude.
Anas here.
Thanks to Claude.
Well, Claude, but yes, also Anas who's directing Claude. We have all these metrics. I mean, this is a crazy amount of knowledge that you can pull out of here. You've got revenue per person or per wallet address, sorry. But yeah, then you've got by stake, unstaking. So like you can literally see what's being unstaked. You can see the breakdown of the distribution. And then of course you have all your key metrics here at the top for the FAF token. If you're wanting to get into pools, this is like just a crazy amount of data that you can dive into.
As an LP, it makes a lot of difference to understand how the platform is working. So,
Oh, 1,000%. This pool performance is an amazing dashboard if you're just an LP in general. Fees, this is kind of like gauging, platform health and everything else. Volume, pretty self-explanatory. Positions, custodial, leaderboards. Let's go. This platform is super nifty if you are looking to delve a little bit deeper into Flash Trade and figure out what we're all about.
All right, moving ahead. Overall, very excited with the launch of linear vesting schedule. People have shown a lot of trust in us, and we are very happy to take that trust to the next level, and happy to see a lot of people logged in with us and agreeing to change in the system, because like overall in the industry, tokens are actually dead. Most of the teams are trying to figure out their way out of the problems they're seeing with the token. And for us at Flash, we actually never had a chance to fail at this. Like if we were to fail at this, we would have like flopped a year ago. So we made sure everything is built correct, doing things the right way, and very happy to see how it's evolving, because when you have stronger foundations, you have better ways to climb higher and higher. And we're very happy to see FAF having a very strong foundation. And eventually, we have actually, fixing all of the things around token, and then the ownership transfer was the final nail in the coffin, where now we have an entity that represents FAF holders as one, and there is no element of individuals who can control anything about Flash. So very excited to let this all come together.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think over the weekend, I really want to highlight this thing. Over the weekend, from Friday to Saturday, it was me, Zoheb, and Colin from MetaDAO who did this very important move, where initially the token mint, which is the authority that allowed you to mint FAF, was in a team-owned multisig. We moved that token mint to a new multisig, which is now owned by FAF holders, and it will only pass proposals according to the Futarchy results, not by any individual passing through any proposal. It's fully programmatically controlled, and the liquidity that we had on FAF was also moved into the same DAO. Now, most of the structure of FAF is basically what people wanted, which is an ownership-based structure where there is nothing about Flash that is controlled by us as individuals. Everything that needs to be done goes through the Futarchy system, and basically more power to token holders and more alignment with everyone.
Yeah, so I mean, now that we have moved to the structure where FAF token holders are, ownership token, it's getting much closer to like what Equities would be. You actually do own the protocol. And the best part about the whole thing is, dogs, is that you get rev share. Explain a little bit more about rev share so that they know.
Yes, rev share has been always part of Flash's system, and we're very happy to see it's about $400,000 worth of money that has been given to token holders, although the market cap is just about 3 million. So if we were to do the maths, almost 15% of the market cap in valuation have been given back to token holders. And we continue to give back more money to people who are aligned with Flash. And the next thing is, we've started the incentivization program on Carrot Finance, where people can loop their FLPs, and the UX is much more easier. And I think we are also working to get Pool 2, which is the gold pool on Carrot Finance, where it's much easier to loop your FLPs and generate a higher yield with a very easier UX. And the most important thing that happened last week was Zitadel's raise, where we used our team-owned sFLP holdings to borrow against it. So about 500,000 worth of sFLP was lended to Zitadel, and we got like $300,000 of borrow money on it at a 20% APY for 3 months. The most interesting thing about is this, like sFLP is a yield earning token. So in many ways, the borrow rate of about 20% will very surely be paid off by the yield that is generated by sFLP1. So it was almost like a free loan that we are taking against our treasury to make more money.
Yeah, I thought that was the coolest thing about is the flywheel effect of having a yield-bearing asset, being able to use it as collateral, and then the yield-bearing asset pays off the loan.
Yes.
That's always pretty cool.
Yep.
And then let's see, loop scale. Yes. Oh yeah, pool 2. Yes, those are in the talks. Carrot, saw that. And
for sure.
Pool 3 revamp. I know this has been here for, I think it was last week also, where Pool 3 revamp, where are we at on that?
Yes, so we did a very important upgrade, which was moving to Anchor 3.0.332. I hope it's 3.1 or 3.2. So with that upgrade, a lot of things were changed in the underlying situation so that we are more compatible with the laser system that we have and improve our pusher and add more assets to that pusher, as well as compatibility with Magic Blocks. So this upgrade of Anchor was discussed last week. That was actually completed, and now finally I think we are almost done with revamping Pool 3, where what we are essentially doing is removing multiple assets such as 2Z, PET, and even Kamino, which are traded less and are not that much favored by LPs. And the pool would be just Jup, Jito, Hype. And we will be using this flu mechanism that we have to open the trading on other assets such as Kamino, Meteora. Meteora will be backed by Jupiter. Kamino will be backed by Jupiter tokens. So using the flu mechanics, we would be allowing more tokens to be traded, all the while keeping the LP tokens more favorable, the index more favorable for LPs to put in their money. So that is the revamp that we are doing. It's a very bit complex because we have to close some positions, remove the tokens that we have in index. We haven't done that as of late, so been working on it. So yeah.
And then
next thing is
just so people know a little bit of context, the flexible lock utilization, if you're not aware, it is where we can take a correlated asset and lock it up as collateral for whatever you're trading against. So, and obviously there's a correlation ratio that we make sure that both assets are highly correlated. So
yes. All right. Moving ahead, Zohib, if you're there, would love to know. We did plan out now the final thing for the Magic Blocks, but yeah. If Zohib is there.
Yeah, I'm right here. We've got all of the primary blockers out of our way in terms of moving to the final Magic Block implementation. And I think what the last couple of days or the most recent work on Magic Blocks have been around having the light SVM testing suite built on top of Magic Blocks, which is an interesting take because both have the specialized SVM environments, light SVM, and I think a lot of people on the development side will be familiar with it. Is like a generalized tool for testing your application against runtime validations. You can just fork Solana mainnet or DevNet, modify state, do transitions, and check for validity. So we wanted to have something that kind of combines the whole Magic Block implementation with light SVM to allow a lot more faster iteration on our end, and that's been coming out really well. And apart from that, obviously, the idea of having the final client built out with the Anchor migration, we can have cross compatibility with our current program structure. So all things logged in and looking good. And yeah, we're moving fast on having something that we can share with users or kind of test out on the UI, test the end-to-end latencies, make sure everything is right in its place. So yeah, having the final pieces come together, and now looking towards getting the UX nailed down to the right.
Yep. Overall,
Magic
like people have to understand this thing, that this is something that hasn't been done even in prod or anywhere else. Like people have been playing their, like building these hacky games, but no one has done thing at this scale that we're trying to pull off, which is moving things in terms of FLP and then keeping things backward compatible, and then having this state transition with mainnet and the blockchain's ER. So that is the reason why it's taking its good time, and we really want to make sure things are smooth and running so that we are able to scale when it happens. But overall, as we discussed before, where a lot of people are actually betting on this thing, and it's interesting that if people have, I don't know, Max, did you check what Toly's profile is? It's
the percolator or whatever.
No. If you check Toly's X profile pic,
Oh.
it's very similar to what magic blocks use as their an emoji, but I don't know. I just
Really?
thought, yeah, it's interesting.
What? Oh
It's
my
the
goodness,
same.
you're right.
Yeah, it's the magic blocks mascot,
Yeah,
the
I
magician.
see that.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just trying to speculate here, because recently when I posted about this, that I hate public blockchains, and actually he agreed with it. And Solana is a public blockchain, and eventually people are understanding this thing, that you cannot run superior stuff like perpetuals on Solana itself. Like, you cannot run in any blockchain overall. Like, you need
I
specialized
think
solutions. Yes, sir.
I think we are missing nuances here,
Okay.
for sure, because people would disagree on even hype, like even Hyperliquid is a blockchain at the end. So
No, I'm not talking
I'm
about
not sure if
blockchain.
it's
I'm
worth it or
talking
not.
about public blockchains. If you
Yeah,
compare
I
with
think at the end,
public,
eventually they have the roadmap as well. So the nuances are
yes,
important here. I think Solana is
yep,
well suited for it. The only problem we have is not having unity on schedulers. A lot of fights
exactly. You will never
for
have that. Like, we will never have that. Like, if you, because when you have different sorts of clients being run to suit to generate a higher APY for their LP, for their liquidity providers, you'll always have this problem. It's very hard to solve for.
Yeah, I think Alpenglow is does shows that there's light at the end of the tunnel, and
Yeah.
we might be able to kind of get a better performance out of the systems that we have right now. Alessandro, and all of the guys at AMS are kind of killing it, in terms of making sure we've got the capacity and proving that we have the capacity, we have all of the tech required to power faster block times, faster propagation, faster finalization. We have all of it, and it's just not structured in the right way. So really hopeful that Alpenglow might shift the perspective a little bit, so it'll move the needle in the right direction, and make it compatible. And I think Toly's vision was always that, right? Blockchains kind of retain their function of transparency, verifiability, while making sure it's compatible with the needs of high frequency trading. The whole debate around MCPs and all of the protocol changes, enabling public blockchains to finally operate at a scale which is conducive of high frequency trading. I think we're getting there. We're not there yet for sure, but at least the path is something that we're hopeful of,
Yeah.
trading.
Well, the big thing that I think everybody can agree on is a generalized blockchain is never going to be perfectly suited to a specialized use case. I mean, it's kind of in the name, right? So
Yes.
when you are seeking out a specialized use case, it's probably really smart to, do things like Magic Block, where you have a ephemeral roll up. There you don't lose composability, and you're able to immediately sync back with main. So it makes so
Yes.
much sense. It's the same exact, like Anas said last Flash Hour. He was talking about this was the reason that we moved away from ETH, right? It's like each time we're running into the scaling problems, you have to adjust. And that's
Yes.
what, honestly, everyone's doing it in the space right now. So it's not like, honestly, at this point, it's not like ours is specifically unique. It's just the fact that we're not doing a dedicated L2 or
Yes. And
specialized
there is no
go ahead,
bridging,
validator.
no fragmentation and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not like building it from the validator or having a specialized tuned validator kind of thing. I guess
Yes.
in some ways you are, because Magic. Yeah. But it's more than just a specialized validator. Magic. Hey.
Yeah, it's also worth highlighting a few recent improvements, including what people have been doing with Beethoven, as a standard for CPIs. And recently, I think most recently was just yesterday or so, we had KV, Caveman Lover Boy, or like,
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know how to refer to him,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
talking about Gobble CLI, which I think Harmonic has been working on,
Okay.
which kind of allows you to introspect transactions and like blacklist sandwich attacks, like literally going at the memory level and identifying if someone is trying to read memory of a given transaction and see the slippage being set, or like if someone is trying to read your transaction and compute how much they can extract from it, I think that's a bad call, and you should just block such transactions from aggregators and even validators at the end. And I think these things are going to become a lot more common. Priority fee based penalties and stuff has been commonplace. Like
Yeah.
that's the system that everyone is adopting to in DeFi in order to prevent toxic flow, in order to prevent malicious actors from like playing their part. I think those are the places where we have the highest ROI in terms of user experience being improved when we talk of magic blocks.
Yeah.
All of this can be custom controlled. All of this is a lot more uh, linear and easier to control when you have a unified place, a unified scheduler kind of placing your transactions and managing the state for us. That's the or unphased benefits that we carry with the Magic Block integration, and I think
Yep.
those are huge unlocks as we scale. We don't have to kind of rework the underlying scheduler logic of the public network we are on. We can create our own custom silos. We don't have to wait for BAM. We don't have to wait for schedulers to catch up and have the right distribution for it to work. We can kind of put in our own application control, the execution logic, without like needing the network as a whole to upgrade. So a lot of these
Without
benefits.
doing the whole bureaucracy of getting people to run your client and then getting the right
Yeah.
stake, because when the leaders switch and you don't have that much stake, you're
Yep.
in a problem because
Absolutely.
your users won't be landing the transactions. So that is very
Absolutely,
bad.
and ephemeral rollups just have this feasibility of committing state, verifying everything that if you need it on mainnet for composability and use of your FLP collaterals elsewhere. So we retain all of the things while making sure we have a lot more control on our own matching and pricing engines. So that's interesting. And we've seen good results, and yeah, like testing on localhost is always rosy, and I think we will have a
Yeah.
lot more benefits carried forward to the production environment as well. And yeah, Magic Block team has also been on top of all of the improvements, all alongside the Solana runtime improvements. So they're kind of catching bits and pieces all across the place, and yeah, really excited to finally have it live soon.
Yeah. Yeah. The difference between local DevNet, and then mainnet is definitely one of those funny quirks that we're still having to work around. But yes, the interesting part, just one last thing on Magic Block. From my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, Zabe, is that we can actually order the blocks, right? So it's like you can order how the transactions go in, if I'm not being retarded and saying something out of line.
Yeah, I mean the point there is you have your own custom environment all by yourself as part of the ephemeral rollup. We can avoid transactions that don't interact with our state or kind of have other things put in place like BAM. Like we can have our delegated validator run a specific modified version of the SVM, which kind of introduces this idea of a speed bump for like toxic flow that we see, which is trying to take advantage of Oracle updates. Now, when we talk of ephemeral rollups, the best thing would be we have cost abstraction in terms of what we pay for Oracle updates, and we can be the first and the most frequent to land the updates coming from Laser. I think that's something that Magic Block has already worked on
Yeah.
to have the fastest possible streaming for Oracle updates kind of coming in at like 20 to 50 milliseconds at a stable rate. So that's a whole lot, like a lot of
Yeah.
Talking about
assets even on.
and Zeb, if you were talking about Oracle updates, you should also explain how Harmonic or Solfi and all these guys are paying thousands of dollars every day to just do that thing, right? And even
Yep.
they are not able to
Absolutely.
do that thing. They don't have certainty around that, even though they're spending that much money.
Absolutely, and I think what we've seen a lot of times around people advocating for it, like Humidify, for instance, and Harmonic teams kind of being hand in glove, or maybe the same team at the end, all of it comes down to this idea of, if you're in control, if you're the one building the blocks, you can do a lot more. And we always have these benchmarks. All right, 50,000 Oracle updates in a single block. Those are good if you are always in control, but you're not. And that is where I think there's a lot of lack in public discourse on what kind of profits that they derive. So it's all a game of speculation at this point. We can't know what is the cost basis of Humidify or any of the prop AMM quoting, and then having the spreads tighter than decentralized exchanges. We can just look on the outside. It's difficult to kind of put a number on profitability or sustainability of these business models, but I think what's prop AMMs are here to stay for sure. But in the current form, the amount of resources that you've got to spend, like the amount of SOL that you spend on a daily basis, is insanely high. It's hundreds and thousands of dollars of SOL being spent to kind of have your matching engine be prompt enough to avoid toxic flow, to deliver those tight spreads, and then manage your inventory in the right way. So general purpose matching engines, like even our recent work on Manifest has kind of bring this to light, where you can use the tools as a general user. You don't face much of a trouble. You get your work done with minimal hassle. But if you are a market maker, then each transaction counts. Each small cost that you incur on placing and canceling orders is going to add up. And that is where I think we'll need a lot more specialized engines like prop AMMs, like ephemeral rollups, and like new stuff that's going to come in the near future. I think that's going to shape how DeFi evolves, especially on Solana.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And then moving into Seeker campaign. That's a fancy one. What do we got going there?
Yep, I think that's something that we've been planning since we launched the dApp on Seeker's dApp store.
Yeah.
And hopefully we will be going out with a campaign where everyone who has a Seeker will get a funded wallet worth about $10. So basically, first trade on Flash through your Seeker would be on us, and any money you make on that, you get to keep that money, and if you lose, you don't lose anything. So that is a campaign that we'll be coming out soonish, probably this week or next week. But yeah, that's on what's coming. And the next thing is also the Manifest spot order book. I think I've started working on it finally. I was working on something else, but now I'll try to finalize it. And I think we have a guest waiting as well. So
we do.
Let's bring him on.
Let's bring in our special guest from Citadel. Is it Zitadel? It's Zitadel, right?
It's actually supposed to be Citadel. I think that's they made it Zitadel for a reason.
Okay.
He's gonna tell us. Let's
I was about to say I'm totally gonna mess that up, so I'll let him introduce himself. All right, Riot. But I got your. I'm gonna look at this. Oh, we're fancy. We got a ticker and everything.
Yep.
Guys, if you are not following Zitadel, go ahead. And Riot, the tags are on X are all right there for you.
Thank you. Appreciate the warm intro. And then yes, it was supposed to be Citadel, and then and then we figure out that using Citadel as it is, as it sounds, is a net minus than net plus. So so we change it into like Zitadel. I don't know if that's even helpful or not. But
no,
yeah,
it's super memorable. That's for sure.
Yeah, thanks for having me here. Yep.
Of course. What we wanted to know is just a little bit about you, of course. Obviously, you're co-founder, so we wanted to know, how did the idea, how did you get into the blockchain space, and like, how did this idea come to mind? Did you come from a financial background? What's the story?
So yeah, I didn't come from the financial background, unfortunately, but I came from I majored economics, but like, what does that do to it for anything, to be honest, in real world? But yeah, started my career in the renewable energy sector, and I was like doing a lot of raises there for the projects. At that time, the project means that literally solar farm everywhere. But we were running this project called Medallion before the Citadel, and then and we've been here in the Solana ecosystem for 4 years now. So like we went through the FTX, Luna, and everything, and then still survived through. And then also, we are the only one, very proud, only survival from Korean community that is still doing Solana from back in the days.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm like almost 99% sure that we are the only people, but yeah, because like if you remember, if you try
Last
to remember
man standing.
yes, they all went through the, that was like an era where a lot of fast layer one chains were like trying to give out the grants and try to make developers to come to their platforms, and then we had the Luna, which was like one of the 3 top fast layer one chains, and then
Sonic, Luna.
yeah, and also we had a Clayton, which is now a different name, but with Clayton is pretty much Kakao's baby, Kakao Talk's baby. Kakao Talk is like our version of the
WeChat.
WeChat and WhatsApp, yes. So so a lot of Korean builders start to build there instead of Solana, and then we somehow just sticked around because we were building something very degen, very like full-time degen type of the GameFi ecosystem. We ended up making this 12 token ecosystem. There's 11 tokens are SSPL, and only 1 token is SPL, and then everything else is like all tradable in our own DEX and the bonding curves inside of the game itself. So what we are doing always was about like, number one is like a NFT identity type of the thing that is absolutely needed for in the ecosystem, and also we needed some sort of setup that we can make a lot of good GameFi DeFi type of the product. So that's why we decided to stay in Solana for a whole time, like 4 years through it, and then
Who would have known it started with GameFi? Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it's like,
awesome.
yeah, thank you. It's like, GameFi is like, if you're like trying to build a game, like you're competing against the Xbox, PlayStation, like AAA game type of the scenario, or mobile game even, because like mobile game is very monopolized in many different ways by the Chinese and Korean game developers, like who develop like different games in 1 month type of a thing. So you have no chance, honestly. But if we are talking about something that is more like the play the heist type of the games, then yes, Solana we have a crypto ecosystem have a really good chance. It was a fun time. First, the reason why I was talking about this is because Zitadel was coming from that background, from that experiences, because we had this game ecosystem token that we had that we had like a really good price discovery moment back in the days, and then there were a couple different VCs / private LPs try to buy up the tokens from us, and then at that time when I first learned about OTC, and then like it turned out that OTC was in general pretty toxic. That like these days, like they buy up the OTC, they buy up your token with OTC deals like 50-60% discounts, and then short your token in the perp market, which is never gonna be do anything good for you. We also understand that there is only option pretty much that you can do when you have a bunch of tokens that you can't really sell because of the FUD and everything, So we felt like why there is no ecosystem like corporate bonds or like a venture debt that people can put their token as a collateral and they borrow money against to it. There is Aave for sure. There's Aave and Kamino and everything, but that is different. That is like your
Borrowland.
that is like your bank. It's like you go to go to the bank and you put your house as a collateral and they borrow money. There's like a personal level, individual level.
Yeah.
Maybe we are too early. Maybe we are trying to pull this too early. I don't know. But we felt like this is really good timing to do this because number one, market has matured a lot. And the number two, people finally start to care about revenue generating businesses like you guys. And now we are in the seat where we can start to talk about, okay, what is the high capital efficiency that we can pursue as a protocol / project as a company. So yeah, that's how we all started.
For sure.
And then Anas,
And
just for the community, just so they kind of understand where your thinking was at, like how did you stumble across this? What kind of drove you to make the decision to work with Citadel?
Yeah, I think the idea of Zitadel is something that I always had in my mind, and once I was actually thinking about it, and very interestingly, I saw their post about X. It was before us meeting in Japan during the Super Team Tokyo thing that we had. So I saw that post and I was like, oh, I was thinking about having something like this where you can create custom, borrow things against the people, like against the token or the treasury of team, where you have custom nodes, borrow terms that can be set, and then Zitadel can, get those terms aligned and then raise that money for that company if it's profitable and if it's making money. There is no such thing right now in any blockchain right now where if you are an on-chain profitable business, there is no place where you can go and borrow something against your assets. So I think Zitadel makes that much easier, where you can create your custom thing, because you cannot have a variable AP borrow rate as we see on Kamino, because when things go south or things go differently, you would be instantly liquidated, because the borrow rate fluctuates between, when the markets crash, it goes very high, and sometimes it's more higher for liquid tokens. But when you are actually borrowing using your treasury, you need fixed terms, and treasury can be anything. It can be Bitcoin, it can be your own token, it can be FLP. So those customization things that Zitadel is doing was very interesting. And I remember I just went directly to him during the event and I was like, what you're building is cool, we should catch up probably. So yeah, and then we became the first company to do the raise.
Well, it's a truly like novel concept that
Yes.
it actually, I mean, it's novel on Solana, sorry, and just blockchain in general, but but it's available in real world, I mean, markets. So
Yep.
It's just bringing real finance on chain, which is this is exactly what I love to see, is like taking the kind of old guard and moving it on chain. It's exactly what that's doing. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Zahid, did
Honestly-
you have anything? Go ahead.
Yeah,
Yes.
honestly, like we definitely need somebody like you guys that actually making money at the moment and still think about what you guys can do more to become more capital efficient and also become more things to do. Like honestly, it's like honestly, the conversation that we had with other foundations normally goes from point one. I probably don't need more money from here. That's like always the first thing that I hear. And then I swear to God, I never hear that from the traditional business background. Like, what are you talking about? Aren't you supposed to be more capital efficient than ever? But that is all understandable, because probably in their background, in their head, back in the head, will be some floating question marks and everything. The number one, are they legitimate? Like, is this concept actually viable in reality? And can they raise money? And then also like finally, oh, we already done OTC deal like a couple months ago, so we don't need it. Probably
Yeah.
the last one is the biggest one. But I don't want to blame anyone, because like it is literally the only one option anyway. So what like you doing it doesn't really surprise me, right? But I think somebody should start to do this together so that we can prove the concept and then go to the people and say, look, you shouldn't do it next time with OTC. You should do it with us. We'll be
Exactly.
able to.
Yeah,
we'll
the
be,
OTC deal's rough, man. It's not
but
a
like,
good deal.
That's why I was so surprised when Anas said something that's like, you know what, we'll probably be able to work out together. We might be the first one, I don't know, but like I'm down. Like it was that kind of attitude, probably not the exact wording, but so like when I heard that, it's like, yeah, this is great. Like this guy knows, this guy understands, and then anybody's like gonna hearing right now, from me, I have to emphasize like 100 times that this is not even about capital efficient move. This is more like a novel move almost. Like Flash Trade decided not to dump their tokens in any different ways to raise money. That is already really something as a for the community. It's like you probably don't see it, but your projects that you love are dumping in some way, in a very indirect way. Honestly, like I'm sorry, but it's true. But like, so like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna blame the projects, but in the meantime, you should understand that it's happening. Very
Somehow
very-
diluted,
in
right?
many cases. Yeah, in many cases. Gosh, I heard this one example that the one of the founder that hasn't done with the vesting period yet. It's just sold the whole thing out, whole thing, and then the person still have like a year and a half vesting left, and the OTC discount ratio was like 75% or something. Like, and I swear to God, you know this product, but
Oh my god.
but yeah, I never verified it, so I'm not gonna say it. But
No, it's not.
it's crazy. So like
The
this
shenanigans that are played.
this movement itself is like your proof that I care my honesty, and I
course.
care my community kind of thing. So like again,
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Proofs in the pudding, and don't what is it? It's like words speak, actions something. I don't know. I'm terrible. This is why I'm the janitor. But yeah, the big thing with making a move like this is you could see that Anas and Flash Trade and token holders. I mean, we literally just moved to ownership tokens also, FYI. So now we're a part of the MetaDAO, and with the MetaDAO now, token holders are actually hold equity, I guess you could say, in Flash Trade. So they're
basically there is full ownership, Max. You know, the problem is the UI, the front end, and couple of things that are behind the scenes, such as the URL and the GitHub repositories. All of those are actually owned by another entity in most of the cases. It's a foundation, which is a different entity itself. And then the token holders have just tokens, that's it. But with the move of the MetaDAO's ownership thing, we basically created an entity of its own, which is an ownerless entity, which basically represents FAF holders as the owners of that IP, which is FAF token, the GitHub repos, the UI, the URL, flash.trade, all that thing. So very, very, it's very detailed conversation overall, but yeah. I think, Riot, what's next for you guys? Would love to know, since sFLP. What are you working on next now? Who are you going to bring
yeah, we're lucky for us. Like FLP was like such an asset that we don't need to.
It's already up by $15,000.
How is this even possible? Oh my god! because
it's backed. You know, it's backed by Bitcoin, Solana, and Ethereum, so the price moved up.
Of course. Like when everything moves up, then it moves up together.
Yeah.
But like the thing is, the volatility is always the problem of this entire token ecosystem. That's why I love MetaDAO. I love the other attempts to make token more valid, like Seedplex. Like I love those type of the movement happening in the ecosystem, and I love the fact that we are actually talking about it. Like 5 years ago, nobody gave a fuck. So love to see. So our next goal is obviously to bring the other projects, like hopefully 3 months later after the maturity. I want to work with you guys again. But before even that, like we want to bring more projects that is utilizing hopefully as sustainable and stable asset as FLP, but that doesn't exist a lot. So we want to at least work with the foundation that has like a good sustainable ecosystem they have built, and then with the revenue that they're
I
generating.
think you can also work with a lot of people who stake their soul. You can use the staked soul as collateral because the yield on it can also pay things. And people who want to grow their, basically validator network or buy some more hardware, they can use their staked soul as collateral, give it to you, buy some more hardware, scale their system, and there are interesting angles. Yeah.
Or what you could do is you can entice them into buying sFLP. I mean, look, I'm not telling you to be a salesman for Flash Trade, but I'm saying be a salesman for Flash Trade.
FLP one is like a hell of an asset, man. I have to tell you. But like our entire ultimate goal is it's not creating a bigger flywheel in necessary ways. Like I love it, but it's not our goal. It's like our goal is to let projects to utilize their idle assets. So in terms of that, it can be Solana. If you don't want to sell Solana for some reason, then I don't know, maybe. If it is like for example, RWA that made out of the building, if that RWA is legitimately became a tokenized process, like all the registration, legal processes all combined in there, which I know there are many cases, then yes, you utilize that. But for some reason, you're just leaving it as an idle asset doing nothing. I don't know. You can do it. You can do it with us. If you're VC and having like a multiple different token assets that's just lying there doing nothing for some reason, then you will be able to utilize that as well. But our goal is to at least work with the really good project that everybody knows, and or really stable token assets that everybody will be able to feel comfortable with. So yeah, we're talking with some multiple, more than 5 different projects at the moment. Hopefully, and we can nail down some projects because now we have a good example to show
Let's
around.
go. That's awesome.
For sure.
Glad to hear that.
Looking forward to the next Citadel race, and yeah.
Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. And any parting words or last words you'd like to say before we depart, sir?
Again, thanks for having me, and then again, thanks for working with us. And then for anybody who's listening to this, like remember, any project coming to Citadel is giving up an opportunity to do the OT still behind, and then having a safer route, right? They are being honest. This is an honest project that needs to go much bigger for our industry to get bigger. So that's point to say that. And if you're a project wants to raise money, and if you feel like you have a legitimate idle assets that in your hand that you don't want to sell, you don't want to dump, then let us know.
Yeah, appreciate it. We'll talk soon, I'm sure.
Thank you for having me today. Thank you very much, man.
All right, dude. What did I like? I'm not gonna lie. That's the first time I ever. I think I watched an interview with him, but I can't remember. It was an interview on X, but I didn't get the chance to like watch it all. But yeah, that was a great. I really like him. He's a good guy. I like his background story too with the GameFi. I was not I gotta admit that actually really threw me off. I was like, what? So that was funny that he added that in there. That's actually a really great backstory. As you know, I'm all about stories. So anything else to add for the community, as the next slide was just a thank you for watching. So I mean, that's not too exciting.
I think we have a very interesting announcement coming out in 5 minutes, so we'll wait for that.
Yeah. So stay tuned, everybody. 5 minutes. Let's go. That'll be on X, even though it's kind of not working at the moment. But Zahid, did you have any parting thoughts, parting words for our audience watching today, sir?
No, I think that was a great talk from Riot as well. And yeah, get those LTTs. If you're in the market of trading the yield for later. So LTT is kind of proving the point from Zitadel this time around for sFLP or sFLP in particular. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was a nice move. And yeah, ownership on the way.
Ownership on the way. All right. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching another Flash Hour. Thank you for putting up with my 5-year-old who has off today in the background. President's Day here in the US. No biggie. But that was such a great interview. What a great project. Soft shill some sFLP yields to the audience and to some projects that might want to, jump in, see how the water feels. But yes, we have a ton of announcements this week. Matter of fact, I actually have to kind of pretty much jump off here and get right into our meeting. But a ton of announcements. Ownership token. We also have we have some things coming out. Anyway, it will be announced here in about 5 minutes, and you will see it on X. So thank you for tuning into another Flash Hour. Remember, it is always 4 p.m. UTC every single Monday, and we will see you next week. And I see you in the markets.